Hi, my name's Jake Jackson, and I am the owner of Gravity PDF, and I'm here with Ben Ramsden from GFchart.
Hey Jake, how are you doing today?
Mate, I'm good. I'm doing back-to-back recordings today, so I just finished another video for the Certified Developer Gravity Form Week with Roby Lawrence, and jump straight back into it with you.
Yeah, well, I just saw the makeup person coming on and just making you look good, and I see you've just changed your shirt, so you got the full background going there.
Yeah, we had to adjust the lighting and brush the makeup on. Although I might find my makeup guy. Few blemishes on the nose.
And I've just had a very interesting experience. Just seeing you there with your mic all set up and the headphones on. I've had the am I going to use the red windshield or not type decision to make, which is a really important decision when it comes to doing video. I've only ever done podcasts before, and podcasts you don't have to make these decisions. So I'm just fessing up now and saying I've decided not to, because it's a bit too bit too much for a Friday morning at least.
I was about to say you could use that for Red Nose Week. Honk honk. All right, so we're here today. We're going to talk about Gravity PDF and GFchart collaborating. But before we do, why don't we just introduce our software for people watching that may not be familiar with it, and then we can talk about how we first met, and we'll go from there.
Cool.
So I'll start Gravity PDF. It generates PDF documents for Gravity Forms, all in the name. And when someone submits a form, that PDF can be automatically emailed to the user or the admin or whoever the site owner wants, really. They can configure it. And then they can go back in and download those PDFs. But the true power, I feel, with the software is the actual design of the PDF. So people can change that design, they can change the functionality. Developers can go in and write custom templates and basically create proposals or invoices or legal documents, letters, business cards, certificates. Use your imagination, you name it, it could probably do it. And that's the gist of Gravity PDF.
And it's totally awesome, if you don't mind me saying.
All right, your turn.
So GFchart, I guess it does what it says in the name. It produces charts from gravity forms. Now, why would you want to do that? Classic use case is surveys. You've done this big survey, collected lots of information via your gravity form, and you want to chart it in a way, because data, they say a picture is worth 1,000 words. Nothing like seeing a chart of your survey results to actually see what's going on. Another popular use case is for selling things. Despite WooCommerce and all these massive e-commerce plugins, Gravity Forms is an absolutely fantastic tool for selling stuff. A lot of people use it for that. And once again, a chart allows you to monitor trends and see what's selling, see what's not. Another popular use case is bookings and registrations, maybe an online learning management system, or many churches and education institutions use Gravity Forms for booking events. And once again, if you want to slice and dice and the data and see what you've got, GFchart is the tool. It's always bang up to date, so whenever you refresh the screen, the chart appears. So if you're used to having to download your data into a spreadsheet manually, all that disappears, and it's basically no code. So if you either can't code or don't want to, it's all done for you. So that's GFchart in 90 seconds.
Well, it is nice being able to create an income chart, and you can just see how much money you've captured in a monthly period on the screen, or whatever date range you pick for GFchart, and it'll set up a dashboard style thing with your charts embedded, because as you know, I've used it personally myself, and I've even helped with a little bit of the development on GFchart for you. It was actually interesting for this video. I went back to find when we actually first met, or when we first talked. And it was an unsolicited email from you back in, when was it? I've got it here. No, not on my cheat sheet. It was an unsolicited email from you saying, I've just used Gravity PDF. It was amazing. I can't believe you don't charge for it. Have a lifetime license to GFchart. And I was like, oh wow, thanks. That was early in the piece. I think I want to say 2014 or 2015. Because it was around, we were trying to organize a meetup at WordCamp Sydney in 2016, which for work reasons or something you couldn't make. And then we ended up catching up the following year when you were doing a drive-by up to the Gold Coast and you stopped in at Port Macquarie.
No, I remember that. It's, for those that may not be aware, we're both Australian-based. And if you're Australian-based WordPress, certainly for me, I get used to the fact that most people you deal with are on the other side of the planet. Usually, when you're awake, they're asleep, and vice versa. So when I discovered this, not only that this fantastic Gravity PDF did wonderful things, but also it was a mere 3 hours drive north of me in the same time zone. I thought, must find out who these guys are, and Jake's the man behind it, and that was the beginning of it all, and it's been really good. And we even, as you say, we even met up a few years later, didn't we? I think it was. Wasn't it at the high quality local McDonald's, or Macca's as it's called here, where we met?
Yeah, right on the Donut, which is just a service center right off the highway at Port Macquarie. It was just the easiest place because you were heading up to Queensland for work, doing a drive by, and I said, oh well, instead of trying to find my place, which is off a road and then off another road and another road, we'll just meet at the Macca's and have lunch.
You mean lunch? Perhaps I'm being rude about Macca's.
Yeah,
whenever I go there to eat food, I seem to come out more hungry than when I went in, and there's never any flavour. But I suppose you get what you pay for. But anyway, that's another subject for another day.
Now, I can't remember exactly what we talked about in that first meeting, but I do get the sense, my memory's a little foggy, but that we were talking about how we could make them talk, Gravity PDF and GFchart. Do you remember it all, Ben?
I can't remember whether it was that first meeting, but I mean, certainly from the work I do with other clients, totally outside the WordPress space, I do a lot of work as a consultant, business consultant for larger organizations, and there's lots of enterprise grade software tools available, and they usually have some sort of database, they usually have some sort of data collection end, they usually have some sort of analytic part, they usually have some sort of display part, and it's been clear within Gravity Forms for a long time there's a massive opportunity to sort of bring all the different elements together to work more closely and play better together. And the whole PDF side of things is so critical, because great quality PDF documents is critical for many users. And text and images is absolutely wonderful, and the opportunity to include charts into the PDF just seemed like a natural step. I can't remember how far we got in the conversation that first time, but I think there was certainly some positive sparks were lit then that have led to bigger and better things since.
Yeah, well, let's before we touch on that, I think after that first time we communicated a lot via email. Trying to organize another time we could catch up. And I believe that was Sydney WordCamp in 2018 when you were doing when you were a speaker. Which was a topic, the challenges of running a WordPress plugin business when you're not a developer. So we caught up then. I remember being in the audience, listening to that, and it was very interesting because I'm a developer, so I'm run my business from the developer's perspective. But it was great to hear your take about running your business from the more marketing side of things.
Yeah, it was great to catch up. A relevant side story. I recall. I think you had a rather awkward journey there. I think you were heading south to Sydney, and one of the people you were coming with, I think they left their phone at a Macca's or something. was my
yes, that
recollection.
was my wife.
Oh, was it? Okay. A person left their phone, and apparently it took a while to realize. So you then phoned the phone, and then somebody mysterious picked it up, and they kindly agreed, as though I think they were heading the same way as you, to drop it off at the next Macca's, I know, about 50 miles further south or something. So I know you'd had quite an interesting chase the phone type journey on the way down.
But that was not before we circled back like almost an hour to go back where the phone was left, and then we finally got a hold of the person and then back. So my like 5-hour journey to Sydney with stops from Port Macquarie turned into 8-9+ hours travel time. So it was a bit exhausting, but we made it.
Yeah, you made it. And it was fantastic having you in the audience because you were very supportive and you were asking lots of questions. And my recollection was that I really enjoyed that session, and we got some great feedback from the audience. So so thank you for that.
That's okay. I post your talk, I did hear people say, he was a plant, because they found out we knew each other, and and I was from Gravity PDF and you're from GFChart. Yeah, Ben planted him in the audience. I'm like, well, no, but it was just really interesting.
And how was that conference for you? I mean, that was the first WordCamp I think I'd ever been to. I think you're the first other WordPress person I've ever met face to face as opposed to online. So, I mean, I remember going into that event very nervous because I always feel a bit insecure amongst developers, because you all know PHP and JavaScript and all this sort of stuff. You know, you can probably do it in your sleep, and I'm clueless about that side of things. So not only was I at the conference, but I was a speaker. I probably had a completely different experience to you. What was your recollection of the conference overall?
I thought the conference was very well done. That was my second WordCamp, the first one being 2 years beforehand at Sydney. It all went really smoothly. Everyone had a good time. It was less developer focused this time. The previous WordCamp, Sydney, had a lot more developer orientated talks, and this one was a lot more focused about for beginners or people business owners who want to do SEO or marketing. So I think you would have fit quite well in, Ben. But as I recall, you were running late from something else, and so you didn't stay that long at the event. But yeah, it was really fun that whole weekend, and I can't wait till WordCamps can start happening again.
Yeah, there's a big thing you pick up online about WordPress. the huge thing about it is not just the software, but the community that goes with it. And I think until you go to a WordCamp, you kind of get that, but you don't really get it. And like you say, I think can't wait for them to restart, so that some of that can be rekindled. Having said that, I know that the WordCamp Sydney team is doing various online events and various catch-ups. I know they're not quite the same, but they're a good step in the right direction.
Something's better than nothing. So we touched on that, but we have two completely different backgrounds and approaches to business. So do you want to share a bit more about how you tackle GFchart?
Yeah. I mean, it's a classic scratch your own itch issue. As you can probably tell from my accent, I ain't from round here. And when we moved to Australia, most Australians live not too far from the beach, like us. And when you live near the beach, you need to learn to swim. And my kids not only learned to swim, but they went the full hog and did all the let's compete type lark. So when your kids are in swim club, as a parent, you have to help out. And for whatever reason, I ended up being treasurer, which basically means sorting out all the money. Now, believe it or not, we're still talking 21st century here. The way the swim club operated, not just my swim club, but nationwide, was to collect entries to swim carnivals on a piece of cardboard and attach a check. Do you remember what checks were? Or maybe even attach some banknotes. So regularly, I would receive a whole pile of cardboard with checks attached or banknotes, and have to reconcile all this sort of stuff and pay it in. Of course, some checks people forgot to sign or were illegible or they didn't add up and all the rest of it. The whole thing was just a complete utter nightmare. So, sat beside the pool one afternoon waiting for my kids to finish training. The swim dad and I were saying, look, there has to be a better way of doing this. So cutting to the chase, ended up a short while later, me finding this thing called WordPress, finding this thing called Gravity Forms, finding this thing called PayPal, plugging them all together, and wallop, you've all of a sudden got an online race entry system that just does away with all of those horrible problems I just described. And the only thing that was missing was a dashboard. I could tell that lots of money was coming in, but I couldn't actually see the wood for the trees. Got lots of data, but couldn't keep track of it all. And not only couldn't I, but the various other people involved, like the race secretary and the swim club coaches, they couldn't see what was going on either. So I just hired a developer and said, look, can you build me a dashboard? Which they did, and it was fantastic. So one weekend, I just thought, well, if it's good for me, maybe it's good for others. I spun up a website, put easy digital downloads on it, offered it to sale for the world, and people started buying it. And that really is how GFchart was born, just through scratching my own itch, and by hiring people that could do all the clever code stuff. And clearly a lot's happened since then, but that's how we got into it. And like you say, Jake.
And what year was that, Ben?
I think that was 2014. Let me just check my notes. Yeah, April 2014 was when we launched the first version of GFchart.
All right, so it's 7 years old this year.
Yeah. Am I showing my age?
Talking to Roby, we were talking about the history of Gravity PDF. It was first released August 2012.
Wow.
So I got a couple years on you, mate.
You look a lot younger. That must mean you're about to celebrate next year. You're going to celebrate your 10th birthday.
I will. Yeah, I'll have to mark it on the calendar and tell my marketing guy we're going to do something.
And how did all?
But 10 years.
How did you get started with all of that?
Similar to you, had a problem that needed to be solved. I was doing general web development at the time, building websites for customers, and one of the requirements they wanted was to get their contact form information sent as a PDF document to their email. And they were using Gravity Forms. So did a quick Google and came up with a plugin called Gravity Forms PDF. And that generated PDF documents from the Gravity Forms entries, but it didn't email it automatically when the submission process happened. So I ended up forking that plugin, writing some integration with the notification emails and getting that working. And I went, oh, this is cool. Well, why don't I give back? And I released that as a plugin called Gravity Forms PDF Extended. And that's where it all started. This tiny little plugin that just scratch an itch that I had, and I put it out there.
And did you have any communication with the Gravity Forms team at Rocket Genius about doing this, or did you just get on and do it?
Not in the early days. It wasn't until much later that Gravity Forms started building up their community of around the developers that are developing third-party add-ons for it, which is how the Certified Developer Program began last year. So we actually, both you and me, flew out on the same flight from Australia to the US. We went Houston first, and then where do we land? I forgot the airport name.
Was it Newport?
East Coast.
Norfolk.
On the East Coast,
Norfolk,
Virginia Beach.
Virginia Beach.
Yeah, Norfolk.
Right,
yeah, that's right, Norfolk Airport. Yeah, so so we flew on the same flight for Gravity Forms Christmas party, which kind of doubled as a meet and greet with the whole team, and that was the first time I ever met the whole team. And before then, I communicated with some of the individual team members, and Travis Lopez, one of the developers. We talked a lot, and mostly just when submitting support tickets, you'd get familiar with the names, but there wasn't any serious communication until this Certified Developer Program was formalized. And yeah, I think it's been really good this past year, the amount of support and communication we've had with the Gravity Forms team since the program started. What's your thoughts about that, Ben?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I know for me in the early years, sorry, this sounds historic, doesn't it? But in the early years of GFchart, I was quite nervous in investing in development, because for me, it's not just time, it's money, because I can't do it myself. On the back of somebody else's plugin, because firstly, I guess I had a bit of a feeling was I treading on their toes, but also commercially, if they were to decide actually the capability I'm building they want to have into core, they could, wipe me out overnight, basically. So I did have a few initial email correspondence with, I can't even remember who it was with in the early years, basically saying, look, I'm doing on this. Are you all right with this? Have you got any plans of getting into that space? And I think the response came back, it's like, go for it. Well, we've got no intention of going there. Go for your life, basically. I mean, obviously that's not legally binding or anything, but I thought, well, so I did. And it's gone very well indeed. But it was almost like, I wouldn't quite call it ships in the night, but it was like, we're both almost like neighbors in the same universe, albeit sort of 20,000 kilometers apart in completely different time zones, but had very little contact at all. And then quite relatively recently, I decided to get a bit more serious about this. So I booked a flight to Tucson, Arizona for Pressnomics. And and met some of the Gravity Forms teams there in person. It was like, wow, you're real. There's real people behind. I mean, I know it's obvious there's people behind it, but rather than just sort of being at a distance, having any contact, to actually meet in person was great. Some of the team. And around that kind of sort of time, you can just tell there's been something changed in Gravity Forms, where they've actually decided to step on the gas, or at least build out their business. I think originally it was very forms-based, very developer-centric, but over the last 2 years, 18 months, they seem to have got a lot more serious around the other parts of their business, around sales and marketing, and branding, and all the rest of it, and that's where the whole community certified developer program has come from. And like you say, that's been great for us to meet the team and being involved. But I mean, the two things that have come out for me is just how awesome an organization it is. I mean, they are genuinely very high quality team, very professional, but with a great attitude, I think, to business and attitude to customers. They're genuinely nice people to deal with, and they seem to be very community orientated as well. I heard a quote, not from them but from somewhere else, that if you can, I'm going to get this quote all wrong, but if you can build a good platform business, it will thrive enormously, basically because you get this constellation of activity happening around your sort of core platform. And I think they're sort of embracing that spirit very much. There's not that many independent developers or third-party developers at the moment, but I can see it expanding over time potentially. But how do you find it?
Yeah, well, I've noticed a similar as you is the last year especially they've gone all out, especially with the 2.5 release. I felt before we met up for the certified developer program back in it would have been 2019 in December, just before COVID all hit. That's when we went to meet up in the US with the Gravity Forms team, and I think before that, it seemed like the core product was stagnating. There was a lot of add-ons coming out with integrations, but there wasn't a whole heap of work done on that core product to keep pace with the competitors. So there was a bit of a fear that, hang on, have I bet on the right horse? Approach, much like you said about building your software on top of Gravity Forms. But that all changed once we actually met up with them and we started talking about the certified developer program and what it meant, building this community, this tight-knit community with Gravity Forms and all the third-party developers. It basically opened the floodgates to in-depth communication. We can see what their short-term roadmap is. We can chat with any of the team at any time, provided we're in the right time zone. If you want real-time communication, but that's all there now that we didn't have before, and it was actually funny at that meeting back in 2019. I put the question out there. I remember at the round table, or the oval table, as we called it. I put the question out there. So what is the plan for Gravity Forms moving ahead? What's your business plan? And it was kind of like crickets at the time, and I was a bit surprised considering the size and scope of the business. And they basically said, we've got a loose plan, but it's not formalized in writing that's distributed to all the team members. And I think that really lit a fire under them. Well, I'm not going to say it's all me, but they're already having these ideas. But I had one already produced, and I sent a partial copy over to them to have a geezer at, and I think that really went, oh, well, I mean, if Jake over at Gravity PDF has already taken this really seriously with this planning document and whatnot, we better get our act in order. And since that time, it's been stride after stride of hiring new people and scaling up, and the 2.5 release is just marvelous. Drag and drop, form builder, a huge focus on accessibility, cleaner markup, and that's just the beginning. That's the first part. I believe they're looking at. Well, I don't want to step on their roadmap, but that's just the first of many areas they want to improve and grow. So I'm really excited about the future for Gravity Forms and everyone involved in that space. There's definite talk of treating it much more like a platform that solves solutions rather than this form builder or PDF generator or charts. We're not just talking in that context. It's building whole solutions. It's an invoicing platform. It's a proposal generator. It's a whole accounting system that you could basically build what you want with it. If you look at it from, well, you throw Gravity View in there, you've got a directory, a managed directory that you can charge for. Zach's got a whole heap. Zach Katz from Gravity View's got a whole heap of add-ons to enhance the functionality. Then you look at Gravity Perk, something like 30 plus perks David's got now, and it's only growing. So yeah, I think there's a lot of positive things going on in the Gravity Forms world that's got me excited.
Yeah, I agree. And whilst there's a few other names in the head, let's remember Steve Henty with Gravity Flow. Workflow, you can build extremely powerful workflow type solutions. And the JetSloth guys have got some amazing stuff for improving the whole look and feel and formatting, as well as more back office type tools. So there's some really exciting stuff going on in the ecosystem, and it's quite interesting.
We better mention Travis too for Gravity.
Yeah. So I know you mentioned him.
If we're gonna mention them all, we'll mention them all. Yeah.
Yeah. Who else
Sorry,
are we
Travis.
going to offend by missing them out? We've got Full Gravity, we've got Gravity Wiz, we've got Gravity Flow, we've got Gravity View, we've got JetSloth. Any others we should be shouting out to?
And GFChart, of course.
Oh well,
I think that's here, that's. Yeah, we're here. So,
but I mean,
I think that's it.
Joking aside, I mean, you made some comments about a few minutes ago about sending out your business plan to the Rocket Genius guys and say, well, look, this is what I'm doing. It's been quite interesting for me. I mean, the GFChart has always been a sort of part-time, and still is currently a part-time activity for me. I have a small group of part-timers working on it on the side. And that doesn't mean we're not taking it seriously, but it's a side business for me. Whereas this is very much your business, and good on you. And you run it professionally like a business, and it's been very helpful for me to catch up with you and people like Zach and others who are also very much running it as their main business, and seeing how it's basically structured. You've got your development area, you've got your marketing area, and all these different things. And sorry, where am I going with this point? I get the feeling the Rocket Genius guys have sort of, almost down to their name, forms in WordPress have gone up like a rocket. You build something that's useful, and they've really benefited from that. But like you say, perhaps they may have rested on their laurels a little bit for a while, But they've now very much woken up to that, and they're now pressing ahead again, taking the business to the next stage, but not just alone, but through a community of other plugins like us. And I mean, I wonder for how much longer you'd actually want to call it a form builder, because although you can build forms with it, I think that actually devalues what it can actually do. And the core capability that it's got are so much more powerful than you'd want to use for merely building website forms. It's just extraordinarily powerful. So we'll have to see where that goes.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's all the questions I had. Ben, did you have anything else you wanted to add or talk about before we finish up?
Do you want to talk about where you're heading?
Yeah,
What
sure.
your plans for the future are?
I'm heading home after this.
Do you want me to ask you a question about that?
Okay, all right. Hit me.
So, Jake, we've had a bit of a reminisce about how we got to where we are today and where things are and everything in the garden's rosy. But, I mean, looking forward, what are you excited about for the future of Gravity PDF?
Well, ever since I started this add-on, I always thought it had big potential to basically become a PDF builder. A nice UI, similar to Gravity Forms editor or even Gutenberg's new page builder. You have a PDF builder, and people could drag and drop and place elements here and put them there, and have a lot more control over the PDF document. Because at the moment, if you want that control, you have to create a PDF template, which is built using PHP, HTML, and CSS. So it's still developer orientated if you want to get really custom like that. And while we do have premium templates that take abstract that out, so your end user like yourself could install that and have a nice looking PDF and configure it through the user interface, or they could hire our team to develop that custom template for them. Where I'd really like to see it go is to give those users the tools to build out those really custom design and custom solutions. So that's kind of the long-term goal I'm aiming for. It's something that I want to do right. I don't want to half-ass it. So what I've been working towards is building those foundations that the software needs to be able to support that. And part of that is ensuring that the business has longevity. So I'm actually looking at restructuring how we do our premium offerings. Because at the moment you can buy individual templates or individual add-ons. And I feel like there's a lot more power in the templates that I could be leveraging. But users, they come to Gravity PDF for the first time, they're not familiar with it, and then they've got all this choice. And I want to take away a lot of that choice and give them all that power in smaller bundles, basically. Similar to how Gravity Forms does their licensing with the basic package. You get the core plugin and a couple of add-ons, and then you get the pro one, and then you get all the add-ons. But I haven't decided exactly how it's going to be structured yet. But I think that's the next step. And just making it easier for users to get started and giving them more power out of the box rather than having to customize. There's always going to be the option to customize, whether you're a developer and you do it yourself, just using the free version of Gravity PDF, or you hire our team or another developer to build out that customization. That's always going to be the option there. But I want to create that middle ground where there's a cost-effective solution for users that need a bit more, but they don't quite have the budget for that fully custom solution. So that's the middle focus is getting that offering right, and giving more power to the users. So that's been on my mind a lot lately. And that might involve more templates, and we'll bundle a bunch of templates together. We'll move around some of our features from different add-ons, just to try and create something that gives that user a lot of power in the initial package. And we'll keep developing add-ons. There's an add-on that people have always been asking about is can I save my PDF to Dropbox or OneDrive or the cloud somewhere? So those type of add-ons are something I'm looking at having built out in the midterm as well. And that's going to be that foundational steps that we need to keep the business going and growing, and we can hire more people and then focus on that harder, much more challenging project of building this amazing PDF builder software.
Yeah, it's fascinating, isn't it? As you evolve plugins, certainly in the early years for me, it was around building out more features, building out more features, building out more features. And then you get to the stage where you've got so many features. How do you actually, from a marketing point of view, package and present them in a simple way? But to your point around the purchase experience, how do you get people to buy them and configure them so they don't need to read a 500-page instruction manual before moving forward? It's the whole sort of complexity simplicity thing, making the complex simple is such a wonderfully challenging opportunity. And then, without going too far off track, that's where Apple really have made their name, bringing what frankly is not top of the range specifications, but pretty good specifications, hardware and software together in a rounded user interface that most people can do 90% of what they want to. So I think that's a challenge for all of us, and delighted to hear that you're focusing on that. How much? One of the questions I've got in my business is for how much longer to keep on building out features. People are always asking for new features. The moment you set a boundary and saying that's what we do, somebody will always say, "Well, can you just move the boundary a bit further that way?" Have you got a view, or do you just think keep evolving forever?
Well, I've got that long-term goal of that PDF editor. So as long as that's the long-term goal, that's what we're aiming for. So the boundary for me is so high that we won't be stopping anytime soon. But for GFChart, you've got charts already. You're crunching numbers and presenting that nicely. How much further can you take GFChart?
Look, I could take it to amazing places, and I think it's a pretty amazing place already, if you don't mind me saying so. My goal right at the moment is actually to focus on better quality, deeper integrations of what we've got. Like the image charts that we've got between us. The charts go into Gravity PDF very nicely indeed currently. And I'd like that to be even more seamless. I'd like a few of the edge case niggles to be sorted out. Without going into all sorts of details, there's a bit of consolidation of where we are that I'd quite like to get done, just to get that really humming even nicer than it is at the moment. Not just on the PDF side, but on the survey side and a few other sides as well. And then I think it will be good to go after the next frontier. And a next frontier for us could be, just as you talk about not having to have a code solution and more of a drag and drop PDF builder. People occasionally ask us for advanced analytics, and we very definitely don't do advanced analytics. We're a very quick. You can get up and running literally within 60 to 90 seconds and produce a usable chart. But the trouble with giving people, that great power so quickly is they want more. So, I'm tempted to go there, but that's something that we're holding off doing for now until we close some of the gaps in the other spaces. But hey, to live in a world where there's all this opportunity to go after it's exciting, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. And actually, you mentioned the integration we have with Gravity PDF and GFChart. That was actually something I forgot to bring up earlier, but that all started. You first launched that functionality where you could generate charts as images, which allowed this integration to happen because your charting solution is JavaScript based, and whereas the PDFs are server side based. So the two are incompatible with each other basically, unless you have a whole new server stack, which most WordPress sites do not have. So that was really fundamental to allowing the integration we have, where we can now display your charts in our PDFs, no problem. And that, I think you launched that early 2019. It came out of beta, or it landed in beta.
Yeah, for your average user, asking the question to put a chart into a PDF, you think, well, it appears on a computer screen, why can't you put it in a PDF? But the actual technology you need behind the scenes is actually remarkably difficult. You do need a rendering engine. So we built a rendering engine. I mean, great job Naomi did, our lead developer on that at Gravity Plus. And we didn't really want to have to build it ourselves. There's various third-party options already available, but when we tested them, they weren't reliable enough, or they had various issues. So in the end, we built our own. And frankly, we're underselling that at the moment. So it's been fantastic that you've now got your suite of templates where you can literally just drop the GFchart shortcode in there, and voila, it just appears. But I think there's considerable mileage to be had in future as we take that one forward. We're going to allow that to be compatible with a lot more reports than it's currently available with. So I think there's all sorts of exciting future ahead there.
Yeah, well, I remember when we first released the Gravity PDF reports add-on for GFchart. Sorry, and that was only last year, mid 2020, and that came out of the meeting, or the Christmas party, Gravity Form Christmas party we both went to, because we had a serious chat about how we could make this work and what users were wanting, and you said, well, these reports, they want these great looking PDF reports with the charts in them. So that's how that add-on came about, and I think it's 5 unique designs, but they all can be customized. So there's about 15 variations that users can choose from. And what I like about these reports is set up right. They can be scheduled on a weekly or monthly scheduling. So you can get that automated report to your inbox, and it's got live data across the last month or whatever period you've set in GFchart, which I think is very, very, like you said, underrated, and something we should definitely look at doing a bit more marketing on and customer education with, just because of how powerful that setup can be.
Isn't it dreadful to think I've almost forgotten about that? And yes, it is so powerful. I mean, in my business consulting world, the number of reporting teams I come across who have a weekly, monthly reporting schedule where they extract a lot of data, put it in reports, and then send it off to management. I mean, with the solution you've described, does the basics of that automatically. So every Monday you could literally have a a bang up to date report produced in PDF format, emailed off to your circulation list, and it requires absolutely no manual effort at all. I mean, that's...
Yeah, boss, that one took me 3 hours. 3 hours, okay? Here's your fancy report.
Yeah.
Secretly behind the scenes, you're like, I automated that.
Yeah. And we've been going for an hour, so we shouldn't talk for too long. But I think one thing that just comes to mind as a result of this conversation is that in a market that is growing with entrepreneurial, visionary people like us in it, sorry, blowing our own trumpet here, who have met on a few occasions and over a number of years, we've established a level of trust and communication between us whereby we can have these conversations about opportunities without the feeling that you might run off and steal my idea or trample over my patch or something like that. And I don't know whether we realize how special that is actually. I mean, I spend a long time, as I keep on saying, working in many other business sectors, and that's pretty rare. And I think that's something that the customers can take so much benefit from. The fact that there are all these evolving, forward-looking, pushing the boundaries type activities going on in a collaborative way. I mean, it doesn't mean that if I say to you, Jake, you're going to do it and we'll work it out for sure. But over time, I think that model has proven to be very sustainable and is bringing some fantastic results to the whole world.
Yeah, definitely. I think the benefits outweigh the risks in that department because, I mean, in the Certified Developer Program, there are different third parties that have conflicting plugins that do similar functionality. I mean, there's Gravity PDF, and 4Gravity's got a PDF solution as well. We actually have a new software called Image Hopper that allows images to be uploaded and edited. And David over at Gravity Perk have something similar. So we are kind of somewhat competing in the same space, but we get so much from this collaboration, and it benefits the whole ecosystem that there's enough customers and there's enough pie for everyone to enjoy. So I think working together is far more beneficial for all involved than if we weren't doing this at all. And we could just look at a few years ago when there was no such thing as a certified developer program, and these lines of communication weren't open, and how much better is it now than it was then, as third-party developers.
Yeah, and in many ways, I feel like we've hardly started. We're just getting out of the starting blocks.
Oh, definitely. It was a great first year, and I'm looking forward to seeing where we go. Like I said, Gravity Forms. It looks like they've got a fire under them, and they're growing, and they want to be the best form builder. Well, not just form builder. They want to be the best platform for in the WordPress space, and blow all their competitors out of the water. And I feel like that's where they're heading. They're heading towards that.
Just picking up on your comment, do you think they are looking to blow their competitors out of the water, or are they just
turn a phrase there,
looking to create a viable long-term sustainable business like all of us? I mean, it's I get the feeling there's plenty of room for all the competitors currently.
Yeah, definitely. With that comment, I think I mean turning into this platform rather than just focusing on form building, of solving these solutions for their customers, and no longer considering it just a form builder. Bad choice of words on my behalf. Sorry.
Your video is just cut out at this end, by the way, so don't we?
Well, it records locally. The tools we're using, they record locally on your computer, and when we're finished, it'll get uploaded to the cloud, and then I'll sync it all together. The magic of technology. Um, and with that, I think we will finish up, Ben. It's been lovely to talk to you. We don't get to do it often enough. Maybe we'll have to organise something bi-monthly.
Yeah, we should do.
And,
I must admit, I'm not sure. To be very frank with you, I'm entirely relaxed on the thought of, this is being videoed and it's going to be shown to the world. So as I get more into it in future, I might relax a bit more. But no, it's been a really good conversation, and thank you for taking the initiative to arrange it. Great stuff.
No worries, Ben. Oh, I hope everyone watching found it informative. If not, feel free to comment, and I'll make it better next time.
Yeah, what is that? What you say? You put the comments below. That's the standard thing.
Like us on YouTube and subscribe and comments below. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, and next time I'll have to get the neon sign going in the background.
Oh yeah. We can drop that in post up here.
Okay.
And we'll
You'll airdrop that one in later, and I'll upgrade to a more sober coloured windshield for the future.
All right. With that, we'll finish up. Thank you very much.